Hi everybody, it's Andy and welcome again to my office in Modesto, California. I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in California as well as New York. I also, however, do a great deal of work involving federal law, federal cases, federal rules. So if you've seen some of my other videos, oftentimes you'll hear me give disclaimers like, okay, what I'm describing applies only in California. If you're watching me from outside California and your case is in some other state, what I'm describing does not apply to you. The great thing about federal rules, however, is that they're the same regardless of where you are in the United States. So I don't have to give a disclaimer like that in this video. So this video is going to go over the standard form 180. That's not me describing the form, that actually is what it's called, standard form 180, sometimes abbreviated the SF 180. And for those of you who don't know, that form is used kind of like a transcript request form if you've gone to a school and then graduated and left and you need to go back to get a transcript. Kind of the same idea, except instead of a school, you're actually requesting records from the military. So for example, if you were in the Marines when you were younger and then you've left and then, went on with your life and stuff, but then for whatever reason something happens a couple years down the road and you actually need records from when you were actually in the Marines, like maybe a document that, a medical document or some document that your commanding officer wrote or that, your platoon sergeant wrote or something like that, and you need to get that for some reason, the standard form 180 is what you use to get it. Very similar to how somebody who's graduated college has to go back to get a transcript or something in order to apply to graduate school, or in order to apply to a new job. You need to go back to school to get the records. Standard form 180, very similar, but you use that for military records if you were in the military and now you've gotten out. So hopefully that made sense. A quick story about me. I've actually been helping military veterans in this part of northern central California since 2011. And as I'm recording this, it's actually June 2015, so I've been doing this for quite a while. Personally, I find it very rewarding to help somebody who's actually, defended our country, served our country, etc. But the other great benefit about military veterans and the legal issues they face is that a lot of times the law that governs those issues is actually the same regardless of where the veteran happens to be. So anyway, hopefully all of that made sense. If you're watching me from outside of California, the standard form 180 that I'm about to describe, how to fill it out and stuff, is something that should hopefully apply for your situation as well, because again, it's federal rules, not California or New York specific. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, the standard form 180 is downloadable off the internet. So if you guys hop on the computer with me right now, I will show you how to fill it out.
Okay, everybody, so as I described in the introduction part of the video, I'm going to tell you how to actually go and get the SF-180 form. So the easiest way is to go online, and if you go to Google, you type in SF-180. It's the first hit that you get. It's the archives.gov website, and it's a PDF entitled Instruction and Information Sheet for SF-180. The zero has kind of run off the page right there, but if you click on that link, you'll get, like I said, a PDF file from the archives.gov website, and this is the SF-180 form. So let's see if I can make it a little bigger. There you go. So this first page is just an instruction sheet. There's a lot of stuff to read on here, but there's nothing really to sign, fill in, date, return, etc. So page 1, like I said, a bunch of information. Page 2 has a humongous amount of stuff that needs to get filled in, and all of these fields here are fillable. So if you're on the computer, you can just click and type as necessary. So page 3 is kind of a hybrid between page 2 and 1. There's nothing to fill in or sign or date on page 3, but there's a lot of stuff that goes over how to actually return the form once you have it signed, dated, etc., where it's supposed to be. If you are the type of person who likes to type the whole thing out, you can do that as well. So if you type out standard form 180, you also get a PDF file as your first hit, and it's also from the National Archives website, archives.gov, but the title is slightly different. So standard form 180-National Archives and Records. But if you click on it, you'll notice that this URL up here is actually the same as before. So the form itself is also the same. So page 1, bunch of instructions. Page 2, bunch of stuff that needs to get filled in. and signatures down at the bottom here. And page 3 is just a chart of where to send this form in once you've actually signed, dated, etc., where you're supposed to. So that's basically it. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and save this PDF file using the Save button down here in Chrome, and open this up again in Adobe Acrobat and actually go through with you guys how to fill it in. If you have the ability to do that, like save the file, fill it in, type it in and stuff on the computer using Adobe Acrobat or some other similar kind of program, I would highly, highly recommend that you do that, because if you notice all the addresses of the places where this form is processed, I mean, there's, I guess 14 spaces, but 11 addresses, I guess, because these 3 are blank. As you can probably imagine, all 11 of these places probably get hundreds of these types of forms of the SF-180 form. They probably get hundreds of them per day, thousands a week, etc. If there's anything that you can do to make it easier for this form to be processed and for it to be processed accurately, quickly, etc., I would go ahead and do that. Most people think that they write legibly, but in reality they don't. So yeah, I would type it in if you at all can. If you can't, for some reason, like you genuinely can't, like you don't have a computer, etc., you can write it in. It's no big deal. But yeah, just I guess based on what I said, just take extra precautions to make sure that what it is that you actually write in, you do so in a legible way. So print, use all caps, black ink, blue ink, whatever. Just make sure that what you write actually is legible. So that said, like I said, I'm going to go and save this and open it up in Adobe Acrobat. So talk to you guys in a few seconds.